ExxonMobil reported nearly $18 billion. Chevron recording over $11.5 billion in profits. Soaring energy prices have contributed to record inflation, driving up the cost not only of fuel, but everything from apples to toilet paper. It's leaving some Americans struggling right now to pay for gas and food and other basic necessities.
The Federal Trade Commission has now basically looked into those record profits and realized that some of these CEOs with various oil companies are engaging in price fixing. And so as a result, they have recently banned the CEO of the Hess Corporation, his name is John B. Hess, from serving on the board of directors for Chevron, following revelations that he was in fact involved in an oil price fixing scheme. Now we're gonna get to the details of that in just a minute. But first, it's really important to kind of get into the details of this merger between Chevron and Hess Corporation. So basically about a year ago, Chevron announced that it was seeking to acquire the Hess Corporation for a whopping $53 billion. Now during an appearance on CNBC, basically to talk about the acquisition, John Hess basically decided to tout the record profits and growth that Hess Corporation experienced under his watch. Take a look.
You know, we have the best growth portfolio in the business. And if you look at our stock the last 5 years, we were the best TSR, total shareholder return, over a 5-year period, whether it's major or whether it's independent. And last year we were up 94%, number 2 in the S&P.
Yeah, well, honest profits or ill-gotten gains? The FTC put out a presser about Hess, the gentleman you just heard from. FTC order bans Hess CEO from Chevron board in Chevron Hess Deal. FTC alleges Hess CEO communicated with OPEC representatives, encouraged higher prices in the global oil market. Okay, so let's just take a step back. OPEC plus, what does that mean? Well, OPEC cartel is basically the group of oil producing countries on the planet, right? And so they communicate with one another, yes, but understand that if any one country decides that they want to withhold oil production, that ends up limiting the inventory or the supply of oil, and that translates to higher prices at the gas pump. It also translates to higher prices for everything because obviously you need that energy in order to ship goods and services. And so the shipping becomes much more expensive. Everything just becomes much more expensive. And so what ended up happening is the FTC looked into Hess and they found out this guy is colluding with other, OPEC producers and encouraging them to limit their supply to keep prices high. It's so gross. So if you read the presser that was put out or press release that was put out by the FTC, it tells you in detail what they're accusing Hess of doing, but I'll read some of the highlights right now. They claim that Hess further encouraged his OPEC competitors to stabilize production and draw down inventories, the complaint alleges. Reductions in crude oil exploration and production generally lead to higher oil prices and higher prices for products derived from oil, including transportation fuels such as gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. And heating oil, by the way. And so as a result, the FTC says that Hess's communications with competitors about global oil supply or output and other dimensions of crude oil market competition disqualify him from serving on Chevron's board of directors. The FTC will use all its available enforcement tools to protect competition in this vital market and help ensure American consumers benefit from lower prices at the pump. So the FTC makes clear that they believe that Hess's appointment to Chevron's board of directors would heighten the risk of harm to competition, including meaningfully increasing the risk of industry coordination. Basically the industry members colluding with one another in order to screw you over as the consumer and increase their profits, of course. He's also, by the way, not allowed to be hired as a consultant to Chevron's board of directors. And so the FTC commission voted 2-3 to accept the consent agreement and place the complaint and order on the record for public comment. So we'll see how this plays out. And I commend the FTC for keeping their eye on the ball here. But believe it or not, this is not the first example this year of the FTC catching an oil baron with his hand in the cookie jar. So let's get to the other individual. So this is the second person since May of this year that the FTC caught essentially manipulating the market. So the FTC found that Scott Sheffield, who is the founder of Pioneer Natural Resources, had communicated with OPEC representatives through text messages, WhatsApp, and in person to encourage higher oil prices. I mean, homeboy left a paper trail or a digital trail. You're text messaging about your crimes? Are you not a grown man? Like, what's wrong with you? I mean, look, honestly, I'm saying what's wrong with you, but is he gonna go to jail for it? Like, no. So I'll give you more details about it. So the only punishment that he received was the FTC barring him from serving on the board of directors for ExxonMobil. But some congressional lawmakers, to their credit, called on the Justice Department to investigate. And one of those representatives is Democratic Congressman Mark Pocan from Wisconsin, who urged authorities to consider jail time. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Very unlikely, very unlikely. But here's what he did say about Sheffield and what he engaged in manipulating the oil markets to price gouge you, the consumer. I just did a little napkin math. If collusion led to a 40 cent to 60 cent increase in the price of a gallon of gas for a vehicle, for the average person filling their tank, that's $8 or $10 a week. That's $500 a year of added cost. And keep in mind, that's just with the manipulation and price fixing that Pioneer is accused of engaging in. That napkin math doesn't include Hess Corporation and what they were engaging in. And so what was the overall damage? The 5 largest US oil companies have reported more than $250 billion in profits, not revenue, profits over the last 2 years. Revenue is all the money that they've made, but they've got to pay people, they've got costs, overhead, blah, blah, blah. Just pure profits, $250 billion. It's unbelievable. Now, you might be wondering if Biden noticed any of this or had any plans to intervene. Look, credit where credit is due. He appointed a wonderful FTC chair, Lena Khan, one of my favorite things about his administration. However, what did Biden himself do about this? He kept talking about how he's going to intervene when it comes to the price gougers and all of that. Well, let's take a look at him addressing record oil profits in October of 2022.
Exxon's profits for the third quarter were $18.7 billion. One quarter, $18.7 billion. Nearly triple what Exxon made last year. And the most in its 152-year history. It's never made that much profit. In the last 6 months, 6 of the largest oil companies have made more than $100 billion. $100 billion. And we had a little discussion about this, the three of us and others. $100 billion in profits in less than 200 days. Their excess profits are going back to their shareholders and they're buying back their stock, so the executive pays are going to skyrocket. Give me a break. Enough is enough. Look, I'm a capitalist. You've heard me say this before. I have no problem with corporations turning a fair profit or getting a return on their investment in innovation. But this is remotely what's happening. Oil companies' record profits today are not because they're doing something new or innovative. Their profits are a windfall of war. The windfall from the brutal conflict that's ravaging Ukraine and hurting tens of millions of people around the globe.
Oh, well, speaking of war, if Israel starts targeting and bombing Iran's oil-producing infrastructure, oil prices are going to skyrocket. He knows that. Now, Biden says that he's against expanding the war or going to war with Iran. He says it, but then he continues to enable Israel by supplying the bombs. So which one is it, Biden? And by the way, what's always so shocking to me is hearing politicians like Biden just sharing with the American people that he is fully aware of things like corporate stock buybacks and the greedy behavior of various corporations who don't invest back into their own company or their own workers or their own communities, but instead do corporate stock buybacks, fatten up executive pay, all of that, right? He knows about all of it. Okay, did you even consider pursuing legislation to rein in things like corporate stock buybacks? It was nice that he gave a speech about it. Credit where credit is due, I guess. But I do want to give the FTC a lot of credit. I mean, they're working with the tools that they have. This is the first time in my adult life where I've actually seen an FTC be effective in what it's doing. So Lena Khan gets a lot of credit, and Biden gets a lot of credit for appointing Lena Khan. The NLRB has been wonderful under Biden. So Biden did do some things right domestically. It sucks that all of that ends up getting erased by his failures when it comes to foreign policy, but that's just where we're at.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.